Alright, so not too long into my Mahvel Rivals journey, I started to hear a lot of conversations about smurfing. It's usually a pretty mixed bag on the topic. Like, there are people who extremely hate smurfing, and then there are people who are just alright with it. I've never really seen people too extreme on like smurfing is the greatest thing ever, which makes a lot of sense with the conclusion I come to with smurfing. So first off, what is smurfing? Apparently this term or name for it goes all the way back to Warcraft 3. Two players made the characters Papa Smurf and Smurfette, and they did it because people were dodging playing with them. So I gotta be honest, like making a pair of Smurfs and kind of theming them with name, probably not the smartest idea. However, over time, the use for this term has changed. Nowadays, it's commonly used to make a new account so you can play against lower level players in a competitive or ranked mode. So if you have an extremely high elo and high MMR and you go make a new account, you dominate the bronze lobbies, that's smurfing. This new account is putting them against people who they shouldn't be fighting on their main. But just by the modern definition of smurfing, it is extremely logical to be against it, especially when you think about newer and lower level players and their perspective, their experience. Those who are still learning the game or just at a lower skill level, maybe a 10 hours game, facing off against somebody with hundreds if not thousands of hours into the game, they're probably just going to get completely destroyed. And if they are consistently getting matches like this, they're less likely to continue playing the game. They're probably just going to quit and play something else. While I do firmly believe that playing people at the same skill level or even higher is really good for your development, there is a point where it is a little detrimental. And I think that's roughly when you lose all agency in the match, where it just feels like you didn't do anything at all. In a fighting game, for example, if you get hit at the start of the round, either one, you just get to watch a movie of getting your ass beat. You know, that infinite type shit. Or you're in a situation that you can see pretty common, where a person gets hit, they lose 70% damage, and then they're waking up to a mix-up. May it be a heat smash, or RC, or some sort of four-way mix-up. And just like that, in one or two mistakes, a new player is cooked. While at their skill level, they should be fighting other people who are just not hitting the right mix-ups, they're mistiming things, they're dropping combos, they're maybe not even doing combos. Things can be pretty extreme where a small gap makes a huge difference. In a team-based game like MOBAs, for example, from my knowledge, matches are just not short. So that means if there's a high-level Smurf on the other side carrying that team, it's still going to be a pretty long, drawn-out, time-consuming loss. Which in that scenario, there might not be a lot of people who want to play another match, and there might be a lot of people who rage quit during that match. So when you look at things like this, it's pretty hard to say smurfing is anything but awful. Well, there are actually two instances in my life that I've experienced where I think smurfing is a little less awful. The first going back to a little game called S4 League, which I guess somehow is making a return? Anyways, that game was Rampart with pay to win. Now it has been forever, so the exact numbers are a little off probably. Don't take this by gospel, but you could gacha all your gear, and your weapon could give you a raw +6 damage on that gun. On top of that, you can also get that same boost on your chest piece. And when you have a gun that does 15 or 20 damage, and if your gun has +6 and your chest has +6, you're doing an additional 12 damage. And then your chest and hair gives you damage reduction to either melee or range damage, while your other three pieces are going to give you a combination of plus HP or SP. And SP is a very important stat in this game. You use skills, you run, you wall jump, and the primary game mode is called touchdown, where there's a ball in the middle and you have to take it to a goal at their base. You pick up the ball and you passively lose SP. So having that extra SP for one jump could be the difference between making a touchdown and just getting smoked. On top of that, somebody being cashed out is doing double damage and receiving half damage. And so something about S4 is there is a beginner channel that is restricted to players level 1 to 10. Back then, people really didn't whale in the game frame 1. And so because of that, that beginner channel kind of became the broke boy channel. It is a place where a ton of people made alt accounts because they wanted to avoid pay to win. Though that wasn't always a safe place. Eventually they started giving people free 3, 5, 7 day cash shop outfits, and so you would get somebody in that channel. And there was a lot of duos and trios who did this. And it was easy to tell because like Papa Smurf and Smurfette, there were people who had names together. And so while smurfing did definitely suck for newer players trying to get into S4, it was a user solution to avoiding the pay to win in the game because the pay to win was just too egregious. And then the second instance is Mahvel Rivals. I recently just got my Smurf out of quick play and into bronze. And this is because I want to focus the tank role mostly and a little bit of DPS on this account. So for that to make a little bit more sense, let's explain. Mahvel Rivals has nearly 40 characters, and while some play similar, there's still a lot of differences between the characters. And there's also 3 different roles. Initially, I really wanted to focus duelist. Really, I just wanted to be a magic one trick. However, as somebody who's a bit more flexible, I started to feel strategist because a lot of people just didn't want to play that role. Which luckily I find out, just like a lot of other characters, that I actually do enjoy it. So at this point I feel properly ranked as a strategist. However, if I want to play the role and character I like most, I feel like I am a little bit behind of where I should be. And if I were ever to have to fill Vanguard, I'd probably just get reported for throwing. And while quick play does exist, that too has its own MMR. And somehow in quick play, I'm often fighting people at higher ranks than I would be in comp. This Scarlet Witch video that I have in the background, that was actually a good quick play match, which was on my main account on my second time playing that character. On other times, yeah, I'll just get completely shit stomped in quick play. And so for this reason, making a second account that I play characters that I don't really know well or at all just makes a lot of sense. This is where I should tell you I don't play shooters, I don't play hero shooters, it's just never been my genre. However, I really do like Marvel characters, and it turns out I'm having a lot of fun with this game. But because I play RPGs, action games, MMOs, and fighting games, I really don't have that much when it comes to transferable skills to this game. And unlike a first-person shooter where everybody is just running different guns, there is a lot less transferable skills character to character. However, there is a lot of knowledge that experienced players will have that go into a great advantage. May it be awareness, priorities, map knowledge, positioning. I've learned these are super important things in hero shooters, and so while I do think that there is a logical reason to Smurf and Rivals, even if you are a dog, walker, or tank like I'm probably going to be, I'm still going to have a big advantage over newer players because I know the maps better. I kind of have a general idea of where I want to be, or what I want to do, or what I should expect when I fight certain characters. So even with non-malicious intentions, it still isn't the greatest thing. Now, something Tekken uniquely does to help mitigate this to some degree is actually characters have their own rank. Now, there are, I guess we'll call them checkpoints to where if you get to a certain rank, you'll boost the rest of your roster up. So if you get to the 5th rank strategist, your rest of your characters will boost up to the 3rd rank, 2nd Dan. This allows you to really go around and jump around playing different characters and learning them at the same time. And if you do decide you want to play a different character later down the line, you're not playing the same people you would on your main. And honestly, I think it's because they do factor in transferable skill. While you might just be picking up Steve, you don't have all the muscle memory and knowledge that you would on your main. However, what you do have is transferable skills. This can be overall movement, defense, punishment, decision making. When your main is at Raijin, you're actually halfway down the ladder on the rest of your characters. You're all the way down in Dominator. And those transferable skills will just go a very long way. Because even without knowing your character as much as you do on your main, Tekken is a very frame data heavy game. And somebody's rank doesn't change their frame data. And because you know this and you kind of have a good idea of what to expect, you're going to have a bit of advantage. Now don't get me wrong, Tekken still has smurfing. But as far as fighting games goes, I think that has been the best way implemented so far to mitigate smurfing. However, this can really only exist in a 1v1 game like a fighting game. In hero shooters, you can switch characters mid-match. In Rivals, there is no role queue, so you can't even separate their ranks by role. And then in hero shooters and MOBAs where there is a ban system in the game, then that definitely can't work. It's kind of hard to blind queue with your main when that character might be banned. So I think overall finding a solution for team-based games is really rough. And unfortunately, with how ranked is designed so far in Rivals, with rankflation and also engagement optimized matchmaking, I don't foresee them making it so you spend a lot more time in certain ranks, because the rank icon basically is there to toy with your emotions. I'll leave the GDC video in the details about how NetEase does their matchmaking, which has led into a lot of conversation and controversy with Marvel Rivals matchmaking. If you've been following Rivals, you've probably heard a lot about it by now. So overall, I do think it is a net negative for gaming for sure that smurfing does exist. But again, this is because this is a player solution to a game design problem. While there are people who just smurf for ego because they're not winning at the rank they're at anymore, I do believe they are the minority of people who smurf. But anyways, yap in the comments about your thoughts about smurfing.